Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Twigi iRacing series here on the Blitz Racing Network. We just got done with the round of 8, and we are getting ourselves prepared for the drivers to see who will move on to the final 4. We got 3 races in line to see how we're going to get those 4 drivers there, but it certainly has been a wild circumstances. Overall, I gotta say, Matt, it certainly has been a season where drivers have had their ups, their downs, but a weird circumstance with that of Hurricane Ivan coming through. One of our drivers had to get swapped out, that of Jono Lynch, going to be subbed out, and Patrick Hernandez gets a second breath of life. He'll be joining us for our final 6 drivers to see who is going to be having an opportunity to race for a championship. Our final 6 drivers are going to be Merrick Watchorn, Elliott Drummond, Jacob Elkins, that of Brendan Gregg, Patrick Hernandez, and Doug Tuttle. Going to be those 6 drivers still in the playoffs, hunting for a championship here this season. Again, my name's Sam Dyer. I've got Matt Dyer with me, and Matt, it's time for us to get ready to look at our 14 drivers racing here tonight. It's going to be Merrick Watchorn, no surprise, top of the board. The 91 has been dominant, with that of Riley Marabello going to be in second place, with Elliott Drummond going to be running in third, with Jacob Elkins going to be on his outside. Maurice Gomillion in the 44 looking good with some speed, and then finishing out our top 6, it's going to be 2 of Brendan Gregg. Then it's going to be that of Dennis Crosby in 7th. 8th is going to be Patrick Hernandez, back with a second life to see how he can charge up here, with that of Kyle Smith in 9th. 10th goes to Doug Tuttle. And then we've got that of Doug Betts going to be as well, with John Buwalda Jr. And our last 2 drivers going to be Brendan Carroll, as well as newcomer in the 51, Bradley Wilderman. See how they all 14 drivers can attest. But Matt, interesting how the driver's going to work. Who will survive here this evening?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You kind of feel bad for John, but it does also kind of feel not too bad, because I mean Hernandez has shown that he can be consistently up front the whole time. So I fully expect him to take full advantage of what is about to come.
100 laps here this evening, as we have ourselves 1 fast repair, 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. And Matt, here at Texas, where the 2 ends of the track so different from one another, it's going to be one of the factors to watch out for. It looks like Bradley Wilderman looks like he'll be missing the starting grid. If he's going to start, it's got to be from pit road. But this track in Texas, Matt, so unique from other 1.5-mile tracks.
Yeah, it is. It even though it looks very similar to some of the other tracks like Atlanta, both corners are completely different. Turn 1 and 2, it's very loose. It's very hard to keep it on the bottom, because essentially in turn 1 and 2, you really just want to keep your left sides directly on that white line that you at the bottom. But it's going to be very hard to pass. You really got to save your tires here.
That they are, as drivers are stacked up, ready to get rolling. It is going to be side by side all the way through, with Merrick Watchorn and that of Riley Marabello going to be your front 2. These 2 had contact last week at Bristol, and what a race it was, as we're back to green flag action for the Twigi iRacing series. The start of round 6 is on a go, and already into the grass. Going to be that of going to be seeing the 22 side by side for our leaders as they go through these corners, all about building up that speed. Here comes that of Merrick Watchorn, but Marabello on the outside fighting back strong. And watch out for Elkins and Drummond. They're going to be trying to set their sights on how to conquer, as here comes the full throttle speed. Here it comes, and it's all Merrick Watchorn taking the lead and leading lap number 1.
Yeah, like you can use the outside to defend like later in the run, but it's one of those things where you really have to stay pinned to the floor with the throttle to really keep your momentum up.
And now it kind of settles into a single file racing, and we see a little bit of dashing back and forth deeper in the field. But Matt, here at Texas, interesting call by these drivers each week. A custom setup made by Merrick Watchorn to make sure that these trucks are at the primest that they could be in security-wise. Meaning the drivers are not using the default setup that was extremely loose all the way through in these trucks. Now they got, it looks like, a lot more stable, and drivers seem to be feeling a lot more comfortable. But with that stability that's been added in, looks like passing wise, it's going to come down to how you save those tires because Merrick Watchorn and everyone else on this track look like they're stuck on rails.
Yeah, they are. And if that's the case, it's really going to come down to the pit road, and how you come in, in and off pit road is going to be really huge if they do, some green flag pit stops. So if you're going to get some passing done, it's going to be, when the tires are the freshest, so you can really attack the corners. I don't think anyone's going to use the bumper, but not going to, just throw it away.
Absolutely not, especially with our front two, Riley Marabello running so well, looking like the driver to beat in the early stages of last week's race at Bristol. Gets taken out by that of Merrick Watchorn and never really was truly able to recover. Left the session immediately before able to use the fast repair, which all drivers have it. So if you get any type of major damage, you can come into pit road, use that fast repair, and we'll completely reset your vehicle to where you started this race off. As we look deeper in the field, Matt, I mean, some of the drivers we got to watch out for are back here.
Yeah, I think some of you guys in the back might be trying to just test out the set a little bit. Maybe trying to get comfortable with it before they start pushing. But like the one also too is that how will Hernandez you'll be able to pick up the pieces that were left him. So that's gonna be the guy that I'm gonna watch tonight.
I think a lot of people got to keep our eyes on Patrick Hernandez as he's trying to get by Brennan Gregg. Gregg, who was the third driver that was kind of in a swing around revolving door between that of Doug Tuttle as well as Patrick Hernandez and Brennan Gregg. All three of those drivers thought that their hopes of making it to the next round, one of them wasn't going to do it, and it was Patrick Hernandez who lucked out. But with a little bit of luck, charm coming in with some misfortunes with Jono Lynch. Jono Lynch was one of those drivers I was curious on how he was going to run for these final four races of the season. With that of Hurricane Ivan coming on through, he is going to be taking a few weeks off from sim racing to be with family and help out with Florida and how they're dealing with that situation. But gives now the 19 an opportunity to show off his consistent runs, and that's exactly what it's going to need. It's the 9 of Jacob Elkins. Don't want to be touching the apron, and he's still wiggling. Holds on, blocks that of Gregg. Gregg dives it down low. Let's go 3 wide into turn number 3.
I'm like, you can do it. Like, Texas is plenty wide enough, but beyond that high on the outside for Elkins is going to be really tough to maintain for a long period of time.
I mean, this track, yes, you can go 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide at times, but really the best positioning to be is on the bottom 2, maybe 3 grooves, and you can start to see that gray pattern in the center of the corners starting to show a little bit more visible for the drivers and also for the audience members. Patrick Hernandez, he'll take that 2-for-1 meal and up to 4th, goes to 19, and he is our biggest mover currently right now. Hernandez up 4 spots here this evening.
I mean, yeah, like that, that is one way to pass, is you allow the 2 guys in front of you to battle side by side, and then you take advantage of their lack of momentum, like coming off the corner.
As these drivers continue to race on, I mean, Matt, always going to be touching point as they continue to get closer now to Jacob, that of Elliott Drummond, who looks to be a little bit slow. We talked about tire wear could be a factor, and I think we're starting to see it. We're 10 laps in, and that's usually the standing point of if you've got extra tire wear that you have been saving up, haven't been running very aggressive, this is the time to start to pressure forward, and that's what we're seeing for the 19 and the 9.
Yeah, absolutely. They I mean, but it also could be, the other side of the story. Maybe Drummond is, saving his tires a little bit right now to maybe give him a little bit of advantage like later on. But you could definitely see the tire advantage for the 19 and the 9. That's really going to be your only way of really getting past people, not only from, pit strategy, but if you can take care of your tires, you could hold your car down on the bottom line a little bit more than the guy, in front of you, you are going to get a huge run like going down these straight.
You can see it on our ticker board when it comes to that of 3rd on back. They are losing ground. Yes, the battling's been great. We've been loving the action watching these drivers, but this is 3 seconds back from our leader of Merrick Watchorn and Riley Marabello. They have gapped the rest of the field out, and they're feeling confident coming to that of 89 laps to go. Gotta be 88 now with that American Watchhorn, just feeling confident. Is this 91 machine? And as we continue to watch that of Elliott Drummond, we've seen be very good at the road courses. That's where he's found himself into victory lane. And honestly, here tonight, looks to be very cautious on how he wants to use these tires.
Yeah, I mean it it can be a good strategy, but and also bad strategy at some stretch. But I think for Texas, I think that this is going to be a good call potentially. But the one thing I'm really going to look forward to is how patient are some of these people are going to be as the run goes on, as the tires start to wear. Are you going to try to use the bumper to move the guy, maybe move him up a lane so you can get underneath him and have the advantage, into the next corner?
I think that's exactly what we're seeing from the 2 machine of Brendan Gregg. He's trying to figure out how to get by the 9 of Jacob Elkins. And Elkins in that red 9 machine has been holding strong for now. As the 2 just looks way too inconsistent. And Elliott Drummond fighting just a little bit more back into this pack as running low, just running about a half a groove high is the 19. And that's so deceptive when you're running behind a driver that runs about a half groove off. Makes you feel like you can get confident, just like we're seeing Drummond do. He'll drop it down low into turn 3. And it makes you feel like you can set up for a pass. Sometimes it will work like we see right there. Other times you can find yourself being boxed in and you're just using too much tires on the entry. But for that of Elliott Drummond, he'll take the pass cleanly and set up for the next couple of corners. And we'll see in 5 laps or more, can Patrick Hernandez or someone else start to fight back at the 29?
Yeah, but I think that is like one of the the unique things about Texas is you are allowed to do that bottom lane for so long. If we were at a track, I think more like at Atlanta, it wouldn't have been as easy to pass, being so low. But it's just like what I said earlier. The lower you can keep your car for a duration of time, you are going to get a better run because especially coming off too with how flat the turn is, you just lose too much speed with how wide it is on the outside.
And this race has so much meaning to it because this is the first race of the round of 6. And this round, we've got ourselves here at Texas. Then we go short track racing at Richmond. And those are kind of your solid tracks. If you can have good runs there, it is going to put you in a much better positioning heading to the last race of this round, Talladega. And Matt, you do not want to have a super speedway be a cutoff race if you're a driver, but for us up in the booth, for the audience members, it gives us all the joy in the world because we get to see some drivers get chaotic, and as well, the drama just seems to build up a little bit more as we see Patrick Hernandez slipping up once again, and here comes that 9 machine.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like to have Dega like the last cutoff race. Oh, as we see Elkins.
It's loose, holds on, and almost comes back down into the 2 of Greg. And when one fell swoop went from aggressor to an absolute panic to the 9, but luckily holds on for now. And Greg's going to be a little bit shaken up for the 2. But we stay green with 19 laps in. The wear and tear starting to show.
Absolutely. I think that's what you call a Code Brown moment. I think he might need a change of pants at his next pit stop.
It always seems like there's 1 to 2, maybe even 3 Code Brown moments, and there is number 1 of the night, and we are just 20 laps in to this Texas race, and it's going to split up everyone just a little bit more. And the reasoning why this battling, it's the closest battle on track, but Matt, these 3 drivers, Patrick Hernandez, Brandon Gregg, Jacob Elkins, they are the 3 that I'm most concerned about on which one of these drivers could get knocked out of this round. Doug Tuttle, who's also in the playoffs, really doesn't look to be as secure in his consistency at each and every racetrack we go to. But this is going to be really, there's only 6 drivers in the playoffs, and 4 move on, meaning that the 3 drivers we see on screen, one of them most likely will get booted out if what the trends have been all season long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, with Merrick and Elliott, I think those 2 are a lock to move on. So, like just what you said, it's going to be down to these 3 of which one is not going to get in. But I think, Hernandez, if he takes full advantage of this opportunity that he's been given, I think that he'll get in. But so I think it's really going to come down to, Brendan Gregg and Jacob Elkins. Who I think is for them, I think it's really going to come down to Dega and who has the better luck in that race.
It's so interesting to look at the stats between this two machine and the nine, as they both have very similar stats coming into the night. They both have 7 top fives, 14 um, going to be top tens for that of Jacob Elkins, 12 for Brandon Gregg, both into double digits. They've been consistent and up front. And I got to say, for the both of them, I would always toss it to Elkins, who seemed like the more aggressive on speed. But Brandon Gregg's patience seems to be what's gotten this to at least this point of the season, still in the playoffs, still with the chance to try to steal away a championship. But he is probably one of the bigger underdogs besides that of Doug Turtle, that's going to be still lying back in 8th place. He's going to need some type of, if this 86 gonna be making a crack in the points here this evening, he's got to be making a big charge and probably a big swing on pit road, which we're already seeing our first pit stop going to be from the 5 of John Buwalda Jr.
Yeah, like even going back to Brendan Gregg, he hasn't had like the wow performance that Elkins has had. He's been very consistent and kind of like below, just below the radar, like just like Hernandez, like who he's directly behind. Like he's had good enough finishes to be in that direction, but it seems like he just hasn't quite had that wow factor yet. But he's been there pretty consistently, just under the radar.
And also, I went back, want to give a report on the 5 of John Buwalda Jr. He did not mean to come into pit road. It was a loose sensation at a turn 4 that sent him into an unsafe pit entry for the 5 and pulls it into pit road. He's going to sit in there for at least 40 seconds, which is going to put him 2 laps down, if not more. And that is not the way the 5 wanted to have his day. He was searching for a top 10 run. Looks like he's going to need a couple of cautions to come out if that is going to be the case, which without early on stable, this truck looks, for a majority of these drivers, kind of shocked on how it's changed up. But something that is changing, that is going to be Riley Marabello. He is coming and catching up to that of Merrick Watchorn.
Yeah, it seems like Marabello really took care of his tires and kind of just allowed Merrick to just keep going and pushing out as far as he could. And now he's starting to reel in the leader. And now we're going to see maybe if Merrick was saving tires and allowed him to get up to him, or is Marabello have that much speed like later in the run?
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were keeping it pretty stable around that of 7/10, about that of 8 car lengths away from one another. And now it is closed in within 2/10. But the more difficult thing here in Texas, Matt, it just seems like if you're running that inside lane, kind of shades of short track racing, it looks to be a preferred single lane course unless the driver in front of you makes a mistake or you force a mistake on them. With the way that this clean air's been looking, Merrick Watchorn could just sit here and force the 52 to make a bump on the 91 if he's going to make a pass.
Yeah, but I think if you remember Marabello, you almost as you see he goes down to the bottom. It seems like Merrick kind of slid up the track coming out of 4, and he lost so much momentum, which allows Riley to get by him.
And now we're going to be seeing that of Riley making the pass. Going to be up to first, but for how long? He's going to slide up just slightly. Here comes the surge from the 91, trying to take the pass back. Defensive line to the inside is Riley Marabello. And it's going to be Watchorn. Sits and waits. Got a little bit of a push and a little bit of a slip and slide. Wiggle from the rear end of the 52. And Watchorn gets to keep the distance right where he wants.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like what is Riley like going to do here? Is he going to try to see where Merrick goes and pretty much make him run through his tire tracks to really take the air away and make him use his tires a little bit more to stick with him?
And also, Matt, this race is about to get interesting because these drivers look to be close to pit stops, and it is pit stop time.
Merrick.
Thought they were going to aim around 35 to 38 was going to be the window to think about hitting pit road, but Watchorn hits pit road now, and as well, over the radio heard Patrick Hernandez, and Hill 19 will now hit pit road as well, and also going to be seeing that of Mauricio Million. So 3 drivers here on lap 30 make their first pit stop, and this seems a little bit early for my liking if you're going to be trying to stretch this race out for a 2-stop. This could be a little bit more for the drivers. Could turn into a 3-stop with the timing of Watchhorn.
Yeah, as we see Riley now come into pit road as well. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because I know Texas is known as a fuel mileage race if it stays green. So it's going to be interesting to see because we see Elliott staying out there. Like we'll see like how he does.
Well, I would imagine so. A lot of these drivers, if they're going to be stretching their fuel out, trying to get at least to lap 34, if not
Eh,
35, would be the key. Elliott Drummond now going to hit pit road, and Brandon Gregg's going to be the only one out at the current moment, but I'm expecting him, and he is pit road hit for these drivers. Lap 32 is the marker for them. And now, Matt, this is fuel mileage strategy time. If we stay green, this is going to turn into who could save the fuel the best.
Yeah, I think like your first stint is really to find out like how close like can you go because Texas is a track that you can save a lot of fuel at, especially going down into turn 1 and 2, where you can really use the clutch. Your clutch is going to be your best friend, like late in the run.
And Matt, also want to give note again, Merrick Watchhorn hitted first out of everyone that was in our top 10 by 1 lap over Riley Marabello. And after 1 lap of everyone getting back up to speed, the gap is 2 seconds when it was Marabello that was leading by 2/10 when the pit cycle started.
Yeah, like Texas is a huge advantage on fresh tires, but it almost kind of is a deficit late in the run. Like we saw, Riley really pull him in like late in the run. So it's going to be interesting to see, did Merrick try to take care of his tires while he was out there for a lap or 2 longer, or like shorter? So we'll see like how well. But we're also going to look at Drummond. He pitted 2 laps later than Merrick, but is 6. But he's 6 seconds behind. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe him with his fresh tires can pull even up to Merrick. Like here late in the run.
I mean, it just seems like it's such a large gap to be seen as Merrick Watchhorn. It's not this first car. That first car that you see behind as we're right on board with the 91 is actually Kyle Smith. It's the white truck that you see, a very small dot. That is 2 seconds back from this 91 machine. That is where Riley Marabello lies, and quite a distance back, and the gap is not shrinking at a big margin, showing to me that these drivers really trying to take their tires easy. But certainly you would hope, if you're Riley Marabello, that you could close in this gap a little bit faster, but it's still 2 seconds when we hit the backstretch.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Riley, you almost kind of have to take it easy for your first 5 laps because you don't want to do too much damage to the tires at the beginning of the run because that's going to make the end of the run even worse. But if you can take care of your tires and maybe start chipping away at it, for the next 10 laps and really then push really hard the last 20 laps of a run, like you can make up a lot of time.
Well, you talked about taking care of those tires in the first 5 laps. Well, 5 laps in, and it's already Merrick Watchhorn ran slightly faster than the 52 that last time by, showing the strength of an undercut pit stop. And with the signs that everyone's going to have to do at least 2 more pit stops, a 1 stop and then a quick splash and go, I wouldn't be surprised if Riley Marabello thinks about the undercut, pitting a little bit sooner, completely saying we're going for a 2-stop strategy from here on out. And I would split these stints really quick, try to get some fast runs, burn these tires all the way down as fast as possible so you can use up all the stints you can. You got 4 sets in pit road. You're expected to turn this race into a 3-stop. You're still going to have an extra set in your back pocket. So let's get aggressive with it.
Yeah, I think that it is going to be very interesting call. I'm really going to be watching Elliott, Drummond, Elkins. I believe even Gregg came in a lot later too. So I'm going to be looking at their next pit stop to see who is willing to stretch it because they were very close on making it. If they were to stretch it out again to where they were, maybe even if they can get 1 more lap out of it, they have potential to make it to the end on 1 more stop.
Trying to keep my eyes on the driver that's running very slow, and that's going to be Maurice Gomillion and Patrick Hernandez. They are extremely off the pace, and a driver by them back at seventh. It's going to be the two. Brendan Gregg gets some heavy damage, smacking the outside wall out of turn four. The two don't want to get damage, especially in the beginning of a long run. He's got to deal with this damage for the rest of the stint until he can hit pit road.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It is so easy, especially at the beginning of a run here at Texas, to get a little bit too happy on the throttle, and you just ever so slightly lose the rear end, and when you try to catch it, it just takes you to the wall.
Do you want to, again, what I was talking about with Maurice Gomillion, Patrick Hernandez, and Brandon Gregg before Gregg got that damage, they were running about that of 5/10 off of what Merrick Watchorn was doing, and all these drivers pitted around the similar time as the 91. So, curious, are they backing off, trying to save that extra fuel? They're about a half a track distance off of where our leader is. While the leader's on the back stretch, these drivers just hitting the front stretch, and I'm curious on Matt, how good of a strategy could this be if you're saving this amount of fuel on just this stint alone? Because you're probably going to have to do the same exact thing on your second go when you try to come into pit road, or these drivers might be trying to make this one stop from here to the end.
It's one of those things where, like, you don't want to do too much saving, but with how close they were, and with which I would imagine how fast and how hard Merrick was potentially driving, with how big of a lead he had, I don't think you need to save a whole lot. I think maybe they needed to save like one lap, per run, which is not a whole lot of time like going to be lost. Maybe a tenth or a half a tenth per lap you could give up to save that much, but I think they might be dropping off the pace a little bit too much and might be having too big of a gap, because it is about I think it's just shy of 40 seconds for the whole pit lane. So you're looking at about 40 seconds, lost during the pit stops. So if Merrick were to come in, he would be very close, especially if he came off on fresh tires and they were on old tires, to come out of the pits, and he would run them down very easily. So I think you almost have to split it into two right now for if you're everyone else, to have maybe a potential to maybe catch Merrick off guard.
I'm right on board myself, listening to the throttle inputs from the 19 of Patrick Hernandez, and it's just listening to the 19. I don't think there's a lot of let off time for these drivers. It just seems like the setup and the way that it's built, it is built for almost practically full throttle all the way through. With how stable these cars look, they're gunning it. They are attacking these corners, and for that of Watchorn, I'd imagine he's doing the same exact thing. Not really a lot of let off time. 3 and 4, you're full throttle practically all the way through, and he's about to catch up to some lap traffic for this 91. That could cause some issues with drivers being side by side. That's Dennis Crosby, Doug Total. They're going to be side by side right in front of our leader, who the only time he lets off is on the entry of turn 1, and he's very quick back into the throttle after that.
Yeah, that is very much the nature of the trucks, and at these these intermediate tracks. But yeah, if you can definitely make a setup where it's full throttle, it's going to be very hard to save. But I think where you are going to have to save it is definitely late in the run, to where there is going to be more off throttle time with how worn the tires are.
We're starting to inch in and creep into that stance that we were talking about at the late run, as we're going to get a good picture of what it's like for the drivers that are deeper in the field and for our leader. As everyone else says, we're seeing that of Dennis Crosby in the 22, Doug Tuttle in the 86, running about a half a groove, if not a full groove, higher than the white line, while Merrick Watchorn, our leader that's closing in, is running directly on that white line that these drivers are not. So interesting on the different stylistic approaches on the corners. I think, if anything, these drivers that are deeper in the field that we see on screen, they're kind of going based off of feel, while Merrick Watchorn is going with, this is the tried and true strategy, we're sticking with it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see that lead for Merrick has been cut in half down to 1 second. It, that- this is really where those tires for Riley are going to come into fruition, and we're about to see him close even faster in Merrick.
Flat traffic can be a double-sided sword. It can help you or it can be your demise in a blink of an eye. And Riley Marabello got to be hoping that he can find his way to get by lap traffic as quick and as easy as possible. As Merrick Watchorn, he's hoping that lap traffic will just get out of his way, but it's difficult when they're all racing for position.
It's definitely very difficult because everyone is really trying to get to that bottom line. And when you are on that outside of turn 1 and 2, you definitely have a more of a potential to wash up and hit the exit of 2. So you want to be very careful for if you're a lap car, especially especially for the leaders when you're trying to go through by someone in 1 and 2. If you can get to the bottom of passing someone in the bottom of 3 and 4, that would be a much preferred passing location than 1 and 2.
I think another thing, Matt, I mean, we don't talk about very often, but the inside technology that drivers can have, the telemetry that you can pick up, it almost feels like you're a crew chief while driving with some of the information that you can download and have while you're driving, such as, for some people, they download caps, others drive and download other programs that gives you live information about what other drivers' lap times are. That giving drivers and seeing that type of information could backfire as well. If you're Riley Marabello, you might see, all right, I'm catching up. I'm closing in. My lap times are in the green. You could overuse those tires because you feel so much more confident. And at the same time, it could hurt you by just getting too giddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming up from previous experience, you definitely feel like you are the much faster person in parts of the run. But yeah, again, those numbers can be very, very deceiving because you think you have better tires at a certain stage, but you're not sure if that person is saving or not. But the one thing that I would say Merrick has going from now is having those 2 lap cars between him, which is going to give him some time, especially when they were side by side, was what really was hurting Riley for a couple corners.
And Dennis Crosby, the 22, wiggles out of the exit of the corner, almost wiping out Riley Marabello and the white machine. Now it's going to be that of Doug Betts in between our front runners. 47 laps to go, at least one more pit stop, if not 2, still in our picture with 46 laps to go. Now going to be seen how well can Merrick Watchorn hold off. It's been really between that of Merrick Watchorn and Riley Marabello for the battling for the lead. Everywhere else on track, it's pretty split up. We once had the battling for third between Elliott Drummond, Elkins, Hernandez, and that of Brendan Gregg. Well, they've all kind of split up. There's a huge gap between them. It's all on our leaders. Who is getting the win here at Texas to start out the round of 6?
Like you almost kind of like for Riley, you almost have to be very patient and kind of pick as we see him now starting to pass the lap car. Now he can set his sights right there on Merrick with how close he is.
They're not going to have lap traffic for quite a while. The next driver they're going to try to catch up to is going to be Brandon Gregg, but I don't think they're going to catch up to Gregg. But Gregg does have some damage that could slow him down to be caught. But at this current moment, I would have to say this 91.52, it is all clean, all clear. They're ready for takeoff for these final a couple more laps. We saw Merrick Watchorn on the first stint. He pitted with 30 laps into a run. If he's going to continue on that same pattern, we're expecting him to hit pit road in the next 3 laps. That is when we'll see this 91 coming to pit road on that with 40 laps to go, 60 laps into this race. But then it's the drivers behind for that of Elliott Drummond, Elkins. Will they be able to stretch it out to laps 67 to 66? That is their window that they're aiming for if they want to take this race to the very end.
Yeah, like it almost looked like Riley got super sideways like coming out of 2. So maybe he's pushing a little bit harder now, trying to close the gap before pit stops. Because remember they did 1 lap between each other. So this is your time when Riley really has to close up just before pit stops, or does Riley come in knowing that there's potentially 2 more stops, and does he jump Merrick here?
Also, for that of Marabello in the 52, they had the lead. Were leading by about that of 2/10 over Maricot Watchhorn, and that advantage would be massive to have over the 91. That advantage could be dwindling away and seeing that one lap, one change, it was just too much to close on. And now the 52. Here's another strategy for Riley if he's able to do it. Instead of letting Watchhorn go for one lap, maybe you can let him stretch out for 2 laps. Come in, have that 2 lap advantage. You might be 4 seconds back at that point, but you might have that little bit more grip where potentially you could catch back up.
Yeah, absolutely. If he stays out, a little bit longer too, he has that potential to maybe make it on, one more lap if he could stay within that draft and maybe save a little bit of fuel here behind Merrick.
Gonna be a lot that you're asking for, as there's gonna be the 5 of John Bualda Jr., who was put off sequence, and he's gonna be having to come into pit road at least one more time, and the rest of the field. This should be the lap. We're expecting Merrick Watchhorn come in this time around. And he stays out for an extra one, Matt. I think for Merrick, he could have been letting off and letting Riley catch up. I think that could have been it. Trying to save just a little bit more fuel, recognizing that he had about a 2-second gap lead over the 52. Allow that gap. Allow yourself to save some fuel while the 52 has to burn it up to catch back up to the leader.
And I noticed when they were coming out of turn 4, I also noticed that Merrick had kept 2 to 3 miles an hour more speed out of turn 2 as we see Merrick like diving down pit road.
Into pit road, don't get a penalty, cannot get caught speeding. If you do, that could be a race-winning potential ender right there. Out of the 91 hits his marks perfectly, and it's going to be going down pit road. Pace speed going to be that of 45 miles per hour, while drivers on track going up to 165, almost 170 miles per hour. As more drivers hit pit road, Patrick Hernandez as well as Maurice Gomillion, they are already back out on track. Jacob Elkins just comes into pit road. And here's that strategy call, Matt. We talked about it, 1 lap or 2 laps. And Riley Marabello is going to stay out for another lap over the 9. And this is going to put him in a 2-lap stint over that of Watchhorn.
Yeah, you are going to allow that person to pull away, but it's going to pay huge dividends if you can keep your tires on underneath you. It's going to be, if he can stay out one more, it's going to be very tight. But as you see him like starting to put the brakes on, he might be coming a little bit too quick.
It's close. It's going to be very close. We're keeping our eyes on it. If he got caught penalized, it looks to be clear. Just hitting the mark was Riley Marabello, and that's also coming in that aggressive into pit road. That could save some time and help him as well on the amount of time that he's losing on Watchhorn, who's already back up to speed and going to be making the pass on that of Marabello here very quickly, as Elliott Drummond still out there on track. If Drummond's going to make a hero move, he's got to stay out there for at least another 2 to 3 more laps if he's going to stretch this thing out enough to try to turn this race into another, just this stop being the money stop for himself.
Yeah, I think with that first run, that first stint that we had, I think that wasn't all too telling of how long they could go, because remember they did have a pace lap and sitting there with the engine idling. So I think this stint was more of a telling time of how long people could go. And as we see Drummond starting to come in at the end of his 34th lap. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep, if he goes 34 laps, it's going to be put him right at 100.
I think he still is going to be off. I think if he needed to stretch 34 laps on that first stint, he was only able to go 32. And now he's going to be placed in a hole where he's going to be about 2 laps shy. Even with the extreme saving we just saw, he's got to save a lot more, which is going to cost him a lot of time. But for Merrick Watchhorn, for Marabello, they still need to come into pit road one more time, Matt. And I'm curious, do you put the afterburners on and come into pit road for another stop here in just 15 laps? Or do you stretch it out and try to do a quick splash and go. All the strategies are now out there.
I think if you're Riley, I think you almost have to do a short stint here if you want to have a shot at Merrick. Now, if you are Merrick, with how big of a lead you have right now, you can almost kind of wait and see. Like if you see Riley dive into the pits, you have 2 to 3 laps to wait and respond. So I think if you're Merrick, you are definitely in the catbird seat right now.
I mean, he also could have up to 4 laps of responding because these drivers, the lap times when they get to lap 30, it's a 2-second difference. If they come into pit road in about 10 to 15 laps, it's only going to be about a second off of what these drivers are putting down on their lap times. And for the 52 of Marabello, he's going to be trying to close in this gap, but only being about 4 seconds to 3 seconds away from Merrick Watchorn certainly puts Watchorn in the better positioning moving forward. But again, just like last week, it is fuel and tire strategies on who's going to get the win here tonight. And Matt, I mean, if I had to pick a driver, I got to say, it's looking good for Watchorn. I think he could be the driver that's going to get the win here tonight if we stay green.
Yeah, I think if it stays green, I'm going to put my thing, towards Elliott Drummond. My bias towards fuel strategy. I think Elliott has a real shot here to potentially make it, but it's going to be very close for him, and it's going to be interesting to see like when Merrick and Riley do pit. It's going to be the thing to watch out for is how fast are they going to catch Elliott.
Elliott Drummond, he has made his bed and he's got to lay in it unless a yellow flag comes out. The rest of the field still needing to come to pit road at least one more time. It's 30 laps to go. As Merrick Watchorn's gap was at one moment 6 seconds, it is now dwindled down to just 4.5. We talked about Riley Marabello trying something different. He stretched that stint out for 2 more laps, not just one. The 52 is closing it a lot quicker than when he did on that first pit stop. I got to say, I like the call of changing up his strategy on the next pit stop.
Yeah, he was almost a second faster that last lap. So it seems like Merrick is kind of off the pace here because he let a lap car go back rather quickly. So, and I'm wondering to see like what his strategy here is. If he's being off the pace, maybe to save a bit of fuel. But yeah, that time is dwindling very quick.
I mean, I'm curious for Riley here because, again, if you come into pit road, you're going a lap down. You're banking on this race staying green. That's the hard thing for Riley Marabello. But if he's going to see the 52 pit, I would like to see him come into pit road here. If he was burning off those tires, running as hard as he could for the first 10 laps of this stint, come in now in the next about 3 laps or so. You're good, and then let those tires work. Advance and see how much off you're going to be from that of Merrick Watchorn, where Watchorn already is backing off so much. He is going with the complete save here, Matt.
Yeah, as we see him.
Oh!
I was just riding on board with Merrick, and he is lifting and coasting and clutching in the corner. And I think when he pitted, I think that's just too big of an ask, I know you have to do that at the start of the run, and make it do the whole thing. But I think it's just going to be too big of a gap here. For Merrick, you really have to go and push really hard right now, because you're going to give up too much time, especially to Elliott. If Elliott sees you saving, Elliott is going to save as well, but he's not going to have to save as much to make it to the end here, and you're going to pretty much gift Elliott a win and lock him into the next round. With Merrick trying to save too much, you're kind of asking too much here. You're asking to save 5 laps, and 5 laps is going to be a huge
It's
task.
8. I think it's 8 laps he has to save. With how much he'd been coming into pit road, a lot of the fast drivers had to come in and lap about 31 to 32 into a stint, and he's been consistently coming in around that 30 laps in. That last time by, he pitted on that lap 61. It's just so much he's trying to save on fuel. There's no possible way in my mind that this works out for Merrick Watchorn. But I think for Watchorn, this could be an eco challenge in his mind, feeling like I just got raw speed. I can do whatever I want. Even if this doesn't work out, I've got Richmond. I've got, next week. If I win at Richmond, I'm good. I'm going to move on to the next round and be in the Final Four. Why not try something gutsy here at Texas, which is complete backwards from what most people would think.
Yeah, like, it could even be something that he knows something that we don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see like how this comes out like, at the end. But it essentially just gifted Riley the lead here.
And now Elliott Drummond's already going to be back on the bumper of the 91. This is so bizarre. He is giving up full about 2 seconds each lap to that of Riley Marbello. And Marbello is going to have to come into pit road here in the next about 8 laps or so to cut this stint in half. Otherwise, he's going to try to go with a quick splash and go at the end.
Yeah, it's things are starting to look tricky here. Like if you're Riley too, like you don't have to take a full tank of fuel. You can just take 2 right side tires and be just as quick or even quicker than the guys who took a full tank of fresh tires.
I mean, if you're coming in, I would imagine with how tight this car's been feeling, I would opt into taking 4 sets. I would take your all 4, come into pit road here with lap 80 or 81, and then take off. Go and see how much you're going to gain, because everyone else, except for Elliott Drummond, which we don't even know if Drummond can make it, let alone what Watchorn's heroic charge here, because we were already saying Elliott Drummond was going to be about that 3 laps off. And for that of Watchorn and for Elliott Drummond, there's a 4-lap difference just there. I mean, this is gonna get hectic, crazy. 21 laps to go, and Marbello is still out there on track. The gap is now up to 6 seconds between our leaders and Watchorn and Elliott Drummond. I think for Drummond, he's deciding, all right, I'll keep with your pace. We're backing off. Let's do that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like we see Merrick now starting to go like he was 6 tenths faster than Rodney, that last lap. So I think he's starting to pick up the pace. But like if you're Elliott and you are this close to Merrick, you're not even worrying about Riley right now. You're worrying about Merrick, because with him trying to save, and if you could stay this close and let's say Merrick does have to pit and Elliott has saved enough, it's too big of a gap if Merrick pits here to catch Elliott.
At the same time, it is Riley Marbello kind of figured out what mind games Watchorn is doing, as he's now backing off. The whole entire field is all completely off the pace, trying to save fuel, except for now, Merrick Watchorn, and yellow flag comes out. That changes everything. It is Doug Tuttle throwing this whole entire strategy book out the window.
Just unfortunately, like one of our playoff guys who was on the outside looking in to make it to the next round, now has really dug himself a really big hole here.
And you see the heavy damage. He was trying to enter pit road, and it backfired quickly for the 86. As luckily for that, Doug Tuttle, he's going to be having himself a fast repair to be utilized. So we're going to take a look at the replay on what got this 86 machine so out of shape. And Matt, I mean, we were hyping up the strategy. Well, now it's down to raw speed, and this is where Merrick Watchorn's been dominating all night long, as we can see what happened to Tuttle here on the entry to pit road.
Like he just got loose on that transition from the track to the apron and just looped it around.
And then gets to coast in. And once that transition of going onto the red surface, that counts as the racing surface. And that is what brought out the yellow flag here tonight. Our first yellow of the evening. And now it's time to see how these drivers want to attack on this go. As for Tuttle, he's going to be 2 laps down. Still is going to have to come back into pit road as our leaders make their stop. And for Riley Marbello, this is now going to put him in the catbird seat of this restart. Going to be our leader, and Watchorn hoping he can get out on track sooner than the 52. 4 tires and fuel, and away they go. And it's going to be that Marbello winning the race off of pit road. And currently, right now, going to be having 8 drivers on the lead lap. And Dennis Crosby deciding to take the wave around, going to be our 9th driver on the lead lap currently at this moment. And Matt, I think we got to see a lot of different strategies. Immediately, I think a lot of drivers were thinking, save fuel, save fuel, save fuel all night long. Well, no longer having to worry about saving. It's all about making it to the end. This could be amazing to see who's been slacking or just saving too much to not even be a threat.
Yeah, this is really when we're going to see the raw pace of everyone. I think if you are Merrick, you kind of have a little bit of I wouldn't say an ego, but you are the fastest car on the track, based on that first run when you were able to just to pull away. But now it's not about saving tires. You can push as hard as you want to from here on out. So it's really going to be interesting to see who is going to have the I wouldn't say the easiest time, but who's going to have that potential of I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to care if you're in the way or not. I'm going to move you out of the way.
We looked at the speeds from this race so far on track. Fastest driver all night long. Gonna be that of Brendan Gregg, actually, with a 30.576. That is the fastest lap that's been put down all night long. But of our top 3, it's Merrick Watchorn with a 30.611. During qualifying, Merrick Watchorn got our pole award, but during practice is when things start to change up a little bit. Elliott Drummond has put down the fastest lap during practice. Now, he hasn't put down the fastest lap during the race because he's been in complete safe mode all night long. The 29 is going to be in a prime position. 3rd place. He's going to be on the inside, following our leader of Riley Marbello. It's all in this restart. Does the 52 have a little bit of tire spin, or can they take off cleanly?
But also, you have to think of the past history between Riley and Merrick. Like if you remember last week, they got into each other when they were battling it in the green flag. So if you're Elliott, you're almost kind of hoping that they have the same incident, so you can just skip on by and drive off into the sunset.
They made contact under green when Riley Marbello was not expecting Watchorn to be so slow on the exit of these corners while we were trying to see what the strategy calls were going to be for themselves. Well, throw strategy out the window. It is all about pure raw speed now. It's Riley Marbello, Merrick Watchorn, Elliott Drummond, as well as Jacob Elkins, Patrick Hernandez, Maurice Gilmillion, Brandon Gregg, and Doug Betts going to be your top 8 ready to get themselves underway. As the 22 of Dennis Crosby was not able to get the wave around for themselves. So we'll have only 8 drivers on the lead lap. Doug Tuttle's going to be left 2 laps down. Not the way that he wants to start this round of 6. Going to be on the off foot. But the rest of the playoff drivers are still up front. And they're all in our top, going to be in our top 10 at least. And it's time to see who's going to get the win. Will it be the non-playoff driver of the 52 of Riley Marbello? Or will it be a playoff driver of Watchorn Drummond? Could Elkins steal this one away? Or could Patrick Hernandez get their first win of the season? Time to see as the pace truck ready to pull off. It's go time here at Texas. The start of round number 6. 1 of 3 races. Let's get ourselves ready and set into the restart zone, and we are green with Marbello getting a great launch. Drummond's going to be side by side. He's going to have a nose over Watchorn, and Watchorn's got to be careful as he drops back to 3rd.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too, Sam. Sorry for cutting you off there, but the track has changed a little bit since we started. So the cooler track conditions right now are going to make it to where you're not going to burn as much tire here. So it's going to be interesting to see how well these top 3, especially these top 3 who have been in the top 3 this whole race. How much are you willing to risk it in these corners to put yourself into victory lane?
And for Elliott Drummond, he gets that pass on Watchorn, but for Noel, he now drops back to 3rd. I mean, that was practically the pass that needed to be made, and giving up that position that's so key here, especially on a track where you're on rails, you're sticking to the white line all the way through. You cannot give a position that easily like you did to Watchorn.
Yeah, I kind of expected him to maybe make it a little bit harder, but he would as we see Merrick did just touch the apron and really slide up the track and lose so much momentum, which is going to allow.
Oh, they're blocking, they're deking, and it's going to be Merrick Watchorn. He's been willing to be aggressive at times. And for Elliott Drummond, he's seen that bumper do the same exact move at so many other tracks. He gets loose once again, but will you be able to just avoid, get out of the way, or do you utilize the bumper to just get Watchorn loose again? He ducks it down low, but needs to back out of the corner, or he would have wrecked Watchorn right there.
You are putting a lot of trust, in Elliott there if you're Merrick, because if he does stick there, you are pretty much putting yourself in a bad spot. Like, I know you have a fast repair, but you're with how much time is left in the race, that's going to put you in a very difficult spot if were to stick it in there.
Into the danger zone we go. Talked about what ifs. What if a wreck happens? And Merrick Watchorn not very happy with Riley Marabello, and once again drops up, gives an opportunity. Here comes that of Drummond to the inside. Heavy pinching move from the 91, and now going to fall back into third place. A little bit of wiggle room, going to tail slap that 91 loose, and oh boy, there goes Drummond into the grass, being a little bit of a lawnmower. Going to come back onto the racing surface. There goes Patrick Hernandez, and now it's down to the duel. Riley Marabello, Merrick Watchorn, who's getting the win? 9 laps to go, and in third place is the 9 machine.
Like, you can almost call Elkins the closer, just like Kevin Harvick, because he may not show much, but he's always there, like at the end, like for a prime position.
He has been trying so much, and you think back to Watkins Glen in the middle of the regular season. That's where a lot of this changed for Jacob Elkins. He got his first top 3 finish, and now hoping to find himself a little bit more of a gift. As Riley Marabello, Merrick Watchorn, this same exact battle and duel has been happening all night long, but also it goes back to last week at Bristol. It was the duel between these two for the first 20 laps before we saw Marabello get taken out by Watchorn. Will it happen again as Watchorn's just digging a little bit too deep? It just seems like Maggie's searching for that white line just too much. He needs to back off just a little bit, and he'll find that extra pace on the straightaways.
Yeah, it's really all about your exit. But you don't want to give it too much in the middle of the corner to affect your exit. But yeah, right now, if you're Riley, you almost you don't want to put Merrick in a difficult spot. But right now, if you are Merrick, you really want to get that win just so it makes it easier at Richmond and Dega, because you do not want to wait until Dega, for the points.
Yeah, don't want to secure that positioning at that late in the round. You want to do it as early as possible, as Riley Marabello holding off for now. 6 laps to go here this evening, and it's all down to these two up front. That of Elliott Drummond once was a factor to try to go for the win. Gets loose, goes through the grass. He's fallen back to 6th position. But now here we go. 5 laps to go. Merrick Watchorn, can he get enough speed, or has he already used it too much to even make a pass? But it just looks like, Matt, as we keep our live gap on, you can tell that the 91 is closing in. It's just the small little details of the entry. Marabello decides to go a little bit higher of an entry, which keeps him with a low exit, while Watchorn goes with the complete opposite, a low entry and a high exit out of the corner.
Yeah, you can make up a bit of time by diving in deep, especially if you can keep it there on the bottom, as we see Merrick get a very good run coming out of 4 and trying to put it on the outside. He's just so close. He's really with running so close, like in the corner like that. You are trying to take the air off of the rear of the car, which will make that car maybe a little bit looser, so you can get a better run coming out of the corner.
It hurt him on the exit of 4 that last time. Can Merrick Watchorn break off the air once again on the 52? Stable looks like Riley and lets that truck fling to the outside wall, maximizing his speed and the gap, trying to gap a little bit more as here comes Watchorn again. It's going to be now 3 laps to go, and Riley is defending perfectly as Watchorn, on the other hand, just the frustration. You can kind of tell with the way he's driving. He is getting frustrated on the fact that he just can't gain or get close enough to even put the bumper on the truck in front of him.
Yeah, I think with how hard he's been running during this run, but I mean, he's still there. Like one minor mistake from Riley can put him in a huge and great position. Like right now, if you're Riley, you just trying to stay as consistent as possible. Don't overdrive your car. Stay within the limits of the car, and you can potentially like win this race. But don't try to step out too much, trying to pull away and put yourself in a very difficult spot.
As here we go into the white flag. Who's going to be cutesy about this? 4 corners. Can Riley Marbello keep this 52 straight and narrow, or will he find himself getting a tap from the 91 into turn number 1? It's going to be seen that Riley Marbello, the gap continues to grow. Watchhorn not even close. Out of the corner, slightly loses Watchhorn. He loses the speed. Riley Marbello just needs to be perfect, hit his marks, and he's going to find himself in the victory lane. The non-playoff driver, the 52, Riley Marbello, give him redemption. Gets wrecked last week and now a winner here in Texas.
What an absolute drive. He put the pressure on Merrick all race long, and he gets paid huge dividends here at Texas.
And Jacob Elkins just holds off. That gotta be Elliott Drummond for 4th place. Drummond was fighting back as he had his slip up, and the what ifs certainly are going to be crawling in the mind of the 29. For the 52, Riley Marbello, congratulations on this win. It was a tough season. He only showed up for 3 races. He got a top 5 at Pocono, and then it was outside of the top 10 for his other 2 showings. But here tonight, finishes in that of 1st place. Well, as the 52 gets to burn it down, we'll take a look at our unofficial results here tonight, as it was a fantastic run, as Riley Marbello is going to come himself with the win, with Merrick Watchhorn in 2nd, out of Jacob Elkins going to finish out our top 3. We'll talk to our top 3 here in just a short bit. Elliott Drummond's going to be in 4th, with Brandon Gregg 5th. Patrick Hernandez going to be 6th, with that Maurice Gilmillion 7th. Doug Betts going to be in 8th, with Dennis Crosby 9th. 10th's going to be that of Kyle Smith. Doug Tuttle going to be in 11th, with Brian Carroll in 12th. And our final 2 drivers, John Buwalda Jr. going to be the last that was on track, as that of Brady Wilderman going to be getting 14th without a start. As the drivers get themselves situated, what a race here this evening. Drivers were trying every little bit to gain themselves up front, and certainly was a wild race overall, Matt. But this 52, he fought, he defended, he got loose a couple of times, but just wasn't enough mistakes for Watchhorn to get his another win for that himself.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one of the best races in the playoffs. It would have been interesting to see how that race would have played out green, but I mean, like, what a race for the last dash here, like at the end.
Well, that is going to be our 4th to last race of the season. We got 3 more still to go as we're waiting on drivers to file in. We do have 2 other drivers in that other waiting room. We got 2nd and 3rd. So we'll start off with them and see if our leader shows up in for broadcasts and interviews. So we'll start out with 3rd place finisher Jacob Elkins to get his thoughts on how tonight went. Jacob, it's Sam up in the booth. Congratulations on a 3rd place finish, and congratulations on holding off that of Elliott Drummond, who was trying to fight back. How are you feeling after this one?
Honestly, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my 3rd place finish. That's what I wanted to get here. I feel like that'll put me in a decent spot. But I really don't think that I would have gotten it if it wasn't for that caution. That caution really helped me out there.
Caution seemed to have changed a lot of drivers' perspectives on how they were going to run this race. We saw that it was coming down to fuel mileage. And at what point did you realize that the fuel was going to be close under that green flag run before the yellow flag came out?
I pretty much knew that I wasn't going to make it as soon as I pit. I was just trying to match Spino racing there, and I was not saving enough, and I would have actually been 5 laps short. So again, that caution really did save me there. But for the most part, that race was just kind of boring, honestly. Until the end there, I was by myself the whole race. But again, I'm happy that I came home with third place.
A third place certainly is great for you in the playoffs, trying to make it to the final four. We got 2 more races left in this round. We're heading to Richmond next week and then the wild card at Talladega. How are you feeling, though, heading into the short track of Richmond next week?
Richmond is definitely a tough track. I'm not good, but I'm not bad at it. I'll say that. And Talladega, I absolutely hate. Feel like a lot of people hate that track, but we'll see what we can do when it comes to the time.
Well, Jacob, congratulations again on a third place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Shaw Racing Products, my team, my teammates, Merrick for putting on the league, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, that is going to be the 9 machine of Jacob Elkins coming away with third place finish here this evening. Congratulations and good luck at Richmond next week.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
We go from third place, we head to second place with a driver we've talked about practically all season long. We get to talk to him again. It's Merrick Watchorn up with us in the booth. Merrick, congratulations on second. But man, it probably feels a little bit demoralizing on the fact that you had the truck to get yourself into victory lane.
Just a byproduct of Texas, man.
Well, we know that with the old setups, you build the setups for these series. How was it trying to build a setup for this race? Because from our point of view, it looked pretty snug until later in the run.
Yeah, after about 15 laps, the car would start getting loose a little bit, so you had to start lifting a little bit more and start inputting the brake just to set the nose. And the car, the truck was fantastic. You know, it was a fantastic setup. I did a lot of testing all week trying to make sure this thing was straight, because even during the officials, this thing just, the actual setup for iRacing is just too loose, and it just, the fall off rate is ridiculous. So here there was only like maybe a 2-second fall off rate after 30 laps. So you know, that's the best I can get the setup to do. So it's part of, you know, it's just part of racing.
Well, you still were the highest finisher of all the playoff drivers, so heading into Richmond, still got to be feeling confident there. How are you feeling, though, with the next 2 races, knowing we got Richmond, it's going to be the last true, quote-unquote, skilled racetrack before we go to the wild card at Talladega? How are you feeling about these playoffs?
I won the Richmond spring race, so hopefully I can, you know, have a repeat there and get my second win at Richmond. I'm pretty good there. Short track racing is kind of my forte. Just a little, you know, a little frustrated with the finishing of there. I saved enough fuel there with 5. Like I had like 22 laps of fuel when I hit lap 80, and then caution struck me, and it's just one of those things. I think I was going to be able to make it to the end and be able to win this race on fuel strategy alone.
It certainly would have been interesting to watch there, Merrick, if it got to that point, but still, congratulations on a second place finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I just want to, you know, thank out Qualm Security Alliance, Watcher Innovations Group. Want to thank my teammates. You know, we were all really working together trying to get this stuff going. Want to thank the admins, including including Patrick. You know, he's been really helping out get this league back on track. Want to thank Capture the Occasion, really good friend of mine. Hope he's watching. What's up, Charlie? And you know, hopefully I can get my 12th win before the end of the season. Maybe it's just Atlanta. It's gonna be that golden ticket to get 12 wins. But hey, we'll just keep our heads down and keep trugging along.
We certainly will. That's going to be the 91 of Merrick Watchorn. Congratulations on a second place finish, and good luck heading to Richmond next week.
Thanks, guys.
So we go from second place, we head to victory lane, where we have a first-time winner this season. We got Riley with us. Riley, congratulations on your win. How you feeling after that one?
You know what? I'm actually feeling really good, Sam. It's great to win in the Twigi iRacing series. I don't know if I'll be back next season, so it's just another victory, I could say, or another league I've won in, which is excellent. And I love this racetrack. It just means a lot when I win here. I feel like Jimmy Johnson, because he had like this track on lock, and that is how I am an official, and that's how I am in leagues.
Well, Riley, let's take us back to last week at Bristol. We saw the contact between yourself and Merrick. Then a little bit more contact happens here tonight. How are you feeling about that rivalry on track? And do you feel like there is a little bit of a rivalry that just continues to bloom from you two?
What rivalry?
Well, I guess you can say it that way if you're the one in victory lane. As Riley, I mean, with you being a non-playoff driver, we got ourselves 3 more races. How are you feeling about going to Richmond, Talladega, and then Atlanta to finish this one off?
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make any more starts this season. Unfortunately, I usually work Friday nights, so I was lucky to have tonight off. But if I make a couple more starts this season, if I get 3 Fridays off, it's very rare. I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, congratulations again on the win here tonight. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Well, thank you very much. John Owen, we did it for you, buddy. We got you a Twigi iRacing Series win, especially here at Texas Motor Speedway, just like we didn't see fixed last week. Oh my God, it feels great. Larson Land, go check him out on Instagram. Go check out the Laugh Lap. Go check out, oh God, I don't know. I have too many, I'm just so pumped up, man. Just Larson Land, Spino Racing, Spino Designs, John Owen Lynch, my teammates, just everybody. It's great to be back here in Jimmy Johnson Victory Lane in Texas.
That is going to be the 52 of Riley Marabello. Congratulations on your win here this evening. And if you show up again, good luck. But thank you for an excellent season of seeing all the times you were out there on track.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
As that is going to be from Victory Lane. I mean, Matt, what a season it was for these drivers. We got 3 more races still to go, 2 to set our final 4. And a non-playoff driver finds themselves in a Victory Lane here tonight. What are your thoughts before we make it a final call?
Yeah, I think that was an extremely fun race to watch there, especially at the end. But it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the playoff drivers go from here on out. I think maybe a few of them are going to wait until they get and see that as their chance to move on to the next round. But you still have to wonder if Toto can make a comeback here with his last 2 races in this round, or how much how well can everyone else bounce back. But as we see Hernandez taking full advantage of his of the gift to be back in the in the playoff hunt. So it's going to be interesting to see how well these guys take on Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was an advantage to get back into this. We'll see how well Hernandez can do that, but he is, for that of the 19, he's going to be the 5th driver in the line of where they finished out of the playoffs, but certainly close enough to still strike on back. But for tonight here at Texas for the Twigi iRacing Series, thank you for joining us. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Matt Dyer, doing productions and commentating. Thanks for joining us on the Blitz Racing Network. For more racing action, we'll see you next week at Richmond. But for tonight, congratulations to the 52 of Riley Marabello. More playoff racing for the round of 6 next week. Hope to see you then. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you next time.